All right, guys. So you know at Fitness on Demand, we definitely believe in whole body training. Now, the purpose of a whole body routine is to train the whole body as a system. That way, you can give the body an adequate amount of time to rest in between days off, and at the same time, you can work the body and it has a synergetic effect. So as you're training one body part, you're also stimulating another body part at the same time, and whole body routines tend to build and maximize muscle gain. All right, as well as fat loss and calorie burn, which is the perfect scenario for getting yourself in the best shape possible.
I like to warm up with a leg extension. It's a great exercise. It really warms up the knees and the quads. Now the great thing about the leg extension, you don't have to kill it. All you want to do is create enough tension in the quads, warm up the knees, and then you're going to move on to the more strenuous exercise. Now it's time to get into those hamstrings. So the next exercise is going to be a hamstrings. I'm going to turn over, lie face down on the bench. Now, one of the things I'm going to remember to do is a really good squeeze at the top of the movement. Now, the important thing to remember here is don't rush out of the movement. Go ahead and squeeze, get that contraction, and that way you can activate your hands. Try to push your hips into the bench. If you push your hips into the bench, that's going to activate more hamstrings. You'll feel a pull on the hamstrings. And hey, look, that's what we want to do. We don't want to do things the easy way. We want to maximize the movement. All right, guys. All right, time for another hamstring exercise. We're going to do a Romanian deadlift, RDL. So remember here, when I grab the dumbbells, I'm going to push my hips back, slight bend in the knees, and then I'm going to squeeze and contract to activate those hamstrings. All right, start by grabbing the dumbbells, stand up straight, put the dumbbells in front of you, push the hips back, and then squeeze at the top. Good, keep it up. Alright guys, it's time to train legs. Again, this is the compound movement for legs. I like to use a leg press or a hack squat to train legs. Personally, I feel it's a lot safer than the back squat. Now, you will see me do it. I also will use dumbbell squats, but for me, I just prefer like a leg pressing type of motion. All right, so I adjusted the seat. I'm gonna get my legs in position. And press. Good. The main thing here is just that you want to not lock out. So you want to keep that tension on the legs at all times. Good, keep it up. All right, awesome job. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back. One of the things you're gonna notice is that as I start each of my exercise for each body part, I start off with an isolation movement first, and then I move into the compound movement afterwards. Now, there's a reason behind doing this. One, again, I want to continue to keep the muscles warmed up, the joints warmed up, before I get into my heavy lifting. The other thing is, if I start off with my isolation exercises first, I don't have to go as heavy on the compound exercises. Now, for the bench press or for the chest, I don't want to start off with the heaviest exercise first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with dumbbell work first, warm up the joints, warm up the muscles, and then I'm going to move into the barbell press, which is going to be the compound exercise for my upper chest. All right? Remember, for men and women, you want to focus on that upper chest because that's what's going to make the chest look dynamic. All right? So I'm going to start off first with an incline press. Notice I'm going to angle my dumbbells at about 45 degrees. Then I'm going to move immediately into a dumbbell fly. But notice the way that I execute the fly. When I execute the fly, I'm going to kind of use a push press. And what that's going to do is it's going to take the pressure off of my shoulders. Again, guys, the Fitness on Demand way is all about longevity in the game. You want to make sure that you can do this weightlifting thing, this exercise journey for the next 10, 20, 30 years. All right? For me, I'm 57, getting ready to turn 58. I've been lifting for over 40 years. And again, I've been able to avoid injury. Why? Because I'm cautious in everything I do. Safety first. All right, let's go ahead and execute this movement. I'm going to grab my dumbbells. I'm going to roll back in the bench. And we're going to do our press in motion first. And then we're going to move into the fly motion afterwards. Roll back into the bench. Grab your dumbbells. 45-degree angle. And we're going to press for about 10 reps. Squeeze at the top. Remember, don't lock out. Transition into our modified fly. Roll back into the bench. Position yourself with the dumbbells. I'm going to come down at about 90 degrees. I'm going to push up and inward. Begin. Remember, I'm not going to quite lock out. All right, let's go ahead and drop our dumbbells. Go back into the bench. Position yourself with the dumbbells. And let's begin our fly motion. One of the things you're going to notice is that as we started off with our last exercise, which is our compound exercise, one, we already warmed up our joints for our chest with our isolation exercises, so we're not going to have to go super heavy on this compound exercise. Set that bench at about 45 degrees. We're going to be hitting that upper chest once again to finish off, and roll back into the bench. Press your shoulders into the bench. We're going to do this exercise for 10 reps. One of the things you're going to notice is that I didn't lock out at the top, because remember, locking out on any exercise is going to transfer all the weight to the joints. And remember, we always want to keep that weight on the muscle. To be quite honest with you, although we're using this barbell exercise to work our upper chest, my preference is always going to be the dumbbells. Why? Because whenever you do a barbell press, Remember, you're locking your body into a specific movement because you're moving along that straight line. If you use dumbbells, you're able to adjust your wrists. By adjusting your wrists, you're able to take some of that pressure off of your joints. And remember, guys, this game is all about longevity. Not only do you want to get big, swole ladies, tight, defined, but you also want to prepare for the future so that you can continue lifting for the next 10, 20, 30 years. All right, guys, it's time for our compound exercise for that lower chest. We're gonna roll back into the bench. Remember, super important, we need to load the bench up with the most amount of weight we can use, and at the same time, safety first. We're gonna arch our back, press our shoulder blades into the bench. We're gonna execute the movement by pressing from the ground up. We want to be able to use the most amount of weight, but at the same time, we want to be cautious not to cause injury. Remember, this is a mass building portion of the workout for the lower chest. Roll back into the bench. Position your hands, arch your back, and begin. Remember, don't lock out. Remember, the goal of this exercise is that we want to build mass. That's why we're using that 10 rep scheme. All right, remember, we already warmed up the muscle group by using that isolation exercises, and now we're going to cap it off by using that compound movement. Again, we don't have to overload the bar with a whole bunch of weight because we already stimulate the muscle, and now we're kind of just finishing it off with the compound movement. Hey, remember, take a look at the way that I execute that movement. Keep in mind that when I had my elbows, I kind of rotated them to the front. That's going to preserve the shoulders, all right? One of the things people get caught up into is bench pressing a lot of weight. Remember, it's about muscle development, muscle stimulation. And so one of the things I do is I limit the amount of weight I use. I don't lock out. When I'm doing a movement like the bench press, I rotate my elbow in and I push up. Now what that's going to do, as opposed to using a flared elbow grip, which is acceptable in some things, for example, if we're using a guillotine press, that's a great movement for stimulating the upper chest. But if you're doing a standardized bench press, go ahead and bring those elbows in and push through that movement with the elbows in. What that's going to do is preserve your shoulders. All right? Fitness on Demand Fit Tip.